Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah.
Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in the back of a can. You can make it rhyme and groove and the holes in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Yeah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
Now it's time for Believe in the ACC with our starting lineup. From Florida State, number 17, Charlie Ward. From Morehead State University, number 50, Lloyd Stan. And from Murray State University, number 2, Kendrick Haskett. Get ready for the best sports show about the ACC in all the land. Believe in the ACC starts now.
We're going on our first podcast tour. I want to challenge the audience to do that whistle. See how many people can actually do it, and we'll give a prize or something like that.
Do I get a prize? I pulled it off.
Have you pulled it off? I haven't heard you pull it off.
We did it. I did it on here. It may have been after the show.
Really, did you? Okay. That's what I'm saying. You got to do it live. You got to do it when the pressure's on.
I might work something up for you. If I get a prize.
You'll be our model. You'll do it first, and then they got to duplicate what you do. But you got to do it more than once, though. That's the other thing. Like she.
Now you see, you moving the goalposts. You're moving the goalposts.
That's right. I'm moving the goalposts.
You're not worth 2 dead flies, Lloyd Spence.
Call me the Denver Nuggets administration. I'm
That's
moving the
crazy.
goalposts. So
That's crazy.
Let's believe in the ACC, everybody. In case you didn't know, you probably knew that. Especially if you're locked into the channel, you definitely knew it because it popped up on your timeline. So there you go. But if you knew, that's Kendrick Haskins. He's a Hall of Famer. That's Charlie Ward. He's a Hall of Famer and a state championship coach. And I'm just here. But I like being here. And they let me stay. So I love it. I enjoy it. It's fun. So we're going to talk ACC because that's what we do on this show. But we're really going to talk in broader scopes today because that's what's going on in the world of sports right now. And we just had one of the weirdest weekends of championship sports that I think I've seen in quite some time. Like, when you get the blue bloods together, your first thought is, oh, this is going to be great basketball. And it was great basketball, except that the endings were weird. Like, I didn't expect any of that.
It was close games. Great basketball might be a stretch.
Well, on the women's side, there were not close games. The women's side was wildly disappointing. And we got to talk about both of them. But and maybe we should start with the women because it won't take us long. No disrespect, but it's not going to take us long to get through what happened on the women's side. We saw a new champion crowned, which felt inevitable. If I can quote the great Thanos, it felt inevitable.
It did.
Because
If
Paige
it-
Beckers has had a career that if you followed it as close as we have, it was the best of times and the worst of times. And she had gotten very close. She had gotten to the game a couple of times, and then to no avail. But this year felt different.
From the moment they blew out South Carolina at South Carolina, it felt like
It kind of felt
it
inevitable.
felt like it was
Yeah.
inevitable. Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, they're probably gonna pull this off. And mainly because not that South Carolina is not good, because they're phenomenal, but there are levels to this. I have to ask. My first question is actually to Charlie, because Charlie is a state championship winning coach, and he's won a national championship in football, so he knows what championship DNA looks like. Charlie Ward, did this game to you with Don and Gino feel as though Gino may have not just been trying to win, but also trying to remind college women's sports, like, I still do this?
No, I don't think. I mean, every coach has a chip on his shoulder, um, and especially he hadn't won in a few years,
Right.
and so I don't think that was the case. It was just they played better. Like they were connected, especially down the stretch of the tournament, where they were. I mean, they were blowing teams out. Uh, After, I mean, like I said, it blew South Carolina out at that point.
Mm.
But they were, to me, they understood who they were, and their superstars played like that. All the season. Sarah Strong, of course,
Oh.
was phenomenal.
3 more years of that.
Can we pause for a moment, Charlie, and you talk about Sarah Strong as a freshman, how good she is right now?
Yeah, and she's, like I said, she's phenomenal. She does all the little things well. Defensively, they were all connected. They made it really, really tough on everyone. But we saw in the championship game, they just made it extremely tough on
Oh,
like the entire South Carolina team. Like everything was hard for them.
yeah.
And there was one time where Raven Johnson she dribbled from one side of the court to the other side of the court, and the one person was still there, like in front of
Yeah.
her. And,
Yeah.
and then she just kept dribbling,
Like, I don't know what to
and
do.
that is what pressure does to
Mhm.
people. And they weren't winning they weren't losing their one-on-one battles. Like,
No.
I mean, people were driving and they were driving into help, or they were driving into a body that was
Mhm.
standing in front of them, and that was who they were guarding. And so that was just, as a coach, I was just phenomenal to be able to see how connected they were defensively. And then offensively, they played within themselves. They allowed their best players to make plays. I was wondering when South Carolina was going to make somebody else beat them. But they continue to let Fudd shoot. They continue to let Beckers shoot, and Strong. I mean, they let them take the majority of the shots, which I was wondering if they were going to ever take the ball out of their hands, even though it was
Mhm.
3 of them.
Right.
But you had to try to eliminate one of them or make it tougher on one of them. But they didn't.
Mhm.
But the credit to UConn, they played to their strengths. Like everybody else, allowed them to play, and then others were ready to, take advantage of whatever opportunities they had offensively. But everybody played defense.
Oh man, Kendrick. To me, one of the most shocking parts of the game was South Carolina in the second. I think it was the third quarter. They came out and they got it. I think not to 10, but it was like 14, I think it was.
Yeah, they had a little mini run right
Just
there,
like a
and
mini-
Gino called timeout.
Immediately. And was
Yeah.
like, nope. And then Connecticut came out and played like the more desperate team the rest of the game. Like they
Right.
were down 15. I was like, and they just basically, and I hate to say this, but I don't think I'm wrong. It just feels like they just kind of snatched hope and belief away from them. It was
I
just
think
that
that
bad.
I think when they went on that run and UConn called that timeout and immediately went on a run after that, I think they
Yeah.
kind of took their will.
The one thing that to me was the most impressive about Sarah Strong was on the defensive side. She's incredible on the offensive side. I mean, there's nothing you can say that's negative. This is how good Sarah Strong is right now. I had a debate with a friend of mine yesterday on back and forth because he was watching some video, or no, he was watching a video of Angel Reese, who was the 7th pick this year in the WNBA draft, and he was like, Sarah Strong's better than Angel Reese right now. And I was like, I can't argue with that. I want to. I really do. But footwork wise, yes. Sarah Strong's footwork is immaculate. But that's not to me the most impressive thing about her. The way she tracks the ball on defense is incredible. Like she sees what her opponent is doing, and she doesn't bite on fakes a lot. She just takes her time and makes the play. It's pretty impressive. I like her, and like you said, Charlie, we got, or like Kendrick said, 3 more years of that. Oh my goodness, good luck.
Yeah, but she won't be around for all 3 years. I mean,
I don't think so either. Well, I don't know. So interesting, Charlie. I want to ask you that question because we're going to get to Olivia Miles here in just a minute, but to draw a comparison, and I know there were injuries with Olivia, but the comparison is that despite everything Olivia Miles has gone through, she's decided to transfer and stay an extra year when all projections said she was going to be probably the number 2 pick in the draft. And I'm wondering if she said, "Why should I go take a pay cut when I can when I can make that money here in college sports?" And I'm wondering, until the numbers change to something more equitable in the WNBA, are you going to see more young ladies stay for 4 years?
I don't know. I mean, you may have a few do that, because they may be able to make more.
Well, if you're a Juju or Sarah Strong or an Olivia, or people with names, what's the benefit of going financially? I'm not competitively, but financially, what is the benefit of going?
Well, I mean, it's kind of similar. I mean, you kind of build your name there, and then you carry the endorsements and all the different things that you're building to the NBA.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
WNBA. So,
Right.
I mean, like I said, it's just what people want to do.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a rhyme or reason, because I mean, we're starting to see just not crazy things, but just things that sometimes you be like, man, that just doesn't make sense.
Right.
People transferring for just whatever reason, for more money, I should say.
Yeah.
People are staying in school for, we just don't know. Like people, it's across the board. People leaving school to go pro that potentially, if they stayed another year, they may be, a higher draft pick. So it's just, like I said, it's across the board, and there's no rhyme or reason.
Well, since we're here, let's stay here, and then we'll come back to the men's championship in just a second. But we did mention that Olivia Miles has decided to
Go Frogs.
to. Wow, the allegiance.
I mean, that's where his money goes.
I'm not even going to tell you the truth, Charlie, because clearly you've chosen by writing the checks that you're writing right now. So, I get it. But yeah, she chose TCU, and it was interesting because she made her, even though the story had already broken, she made her announcement on TNT, and she said, "He's just a legend. The coach is a legend." And I was like, Had he been coaching like an hour and a half? Like I don't even know. When did he become a legend? Like I don't even know. I'm not even sure I know his full name yet. But nevertheless,
Right. He hadn't been to a Final Four.
right? He's not been to a Final Four. I don't think he just won the championship, the conference championship this year, like for the first time. So I don't know. But you know, we're throwing around the legend word a little loosely, I think. But I don't think she can come on TNT and say, listen, TCU wrote a phenomenal check. And I could not turn that down.
I wish somebody would just be honest about
Right.
it. They threw me a bag.
Right. Listen, y'all know how much money I'm making? I got it. And when did they have that conversation? Because, like, did they play TCU in the Elite Eight? Wasn't that the game?
Yeah. They did play, didn't they?
Yes.
I know they played in the regular season.
So
They played in the postseason as well.
Yeah, they did. That's down on me, yes.
So was the game? Was it like right after the game? Right after they beat, right after they beat Notre Dame? Did he go up to her and say, like, "Listen, if you want to come play for a team where the coach ain't all up in the commercial, give it a Suge Knight speech and be like, come to TCU." And she's like, "Okay, I'll do that. I can do that." I mean, how that decision happened really, really fast.
I think the conversation probably had already been had. But
well, speaking of conversation already been had, shout out to Nia Lotson, who has decided also to shake up the conference. It's amazing how ACC went from being a conference that had all these dominant individual players to like the numbers have dwindled down tremendously.
Yeah,
overnight.
Yeah, I mean there'll be some people that'll rise up.
Yeah,
I was taken aback, but as I said before, nothing in this world will shock me anymore after all the things that we see happening now. You know, before it was like, you know, they did that, but now it's, oh, okay. I mean, never know why people do what they do these days. And so I sent you guys like the message maybe 2 days before.
Yeah.
It might not even, I don't know how many days it was before she made this announcement. And I was like, oh, she's coming back and she's loyal, she's committed. And bam, this happens. And so to me, I just don't know how, like, it's just not because it's Florida State, it's just how fast we can change our minds. And, you know, which is your prerogative, you know, don't get me wrong, it's your prerogative, but just to say, I changed my mind, why not just wait? If you knew that this was a possibility, just wait to say what you were going to say. I mean, you know, what you're going to do as opposed to, I mean, we're starting to see this, you know, on a national level, where we're talking outside of our, you know, our scope of things, and then we have to come back and say, well, I didn't mean to do that.
It's the Myles Garrett effect, Charlie. I want to go win championships. I want to play for the highest level, 150 million. You know what?
I'm good with losing.
I'm committed to the Browns. This is a great organization. Listen, once they give you the bag, Charlie, the whole thing changes. Tonight probably was committed to finishing at Florida State, and they had reconciled, and then Don was like, a couple of million. Oh, so, you know, anyway, my friends are over in South Carolina, and so I don't know why I wouldn't join them. I mean,
her teammate from high school is Raven Johnson. So
I was gonna say, didn't she play with Raven and I thought she played with Raven and Malaysia or Wally. I thought they played all played together, or like an AAU team or something like that.
That may have been
I know
AAU.
Raven played with her in high school. Yeah.
Yeah, Raven
AAU.
played in high school.
Listen, listen. Right now we are living in the age of the bag. whoever provides the bag gets the player. That's what I'm talking about right now. Shout out, and we'll get to the men's side a minute ago, but shout out to other schools are stepping up their bags. Like, it's amazing what's happening right now. But speaking of the men, let's go to the men now. That by far was the strangest of the weekend. Like, the Florida game with Auburn wasn't as surprising because Florida's been doing that all year, and Auburn was trending in the direction of we're not really playing our best ball right now, and we're not healthy. So that ending didn't seem as shocking to me. The Duke ending shocked me. I'll just tell you, the Duke ending shocked me.
I had picked Houston,
I
but
picked Houston as well, yeah.
But I guess when you got a team that's that young, like Duke is, or Duke was,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the moment gets too big, and they just made mistakes. And after they got up, and they kind of dominated the game for most of it, and then when it got close and it got tight, they got tight, and Houston was able to pull it off.
But in 24 seconds, Charlie, at 24.6 seconds, you don't have a play or a series of decisions or plays that you can call to hold a 6-point lead for 24 seconds.
They didn't get the ball inbound, so
That's my point. Like,
there's a plethora of plays that they try to run, but it's predicated on execution as well. So they called a timeout, and still weren't able to get the ball in, after that. Houston just did a good job of doing what they do.
yeah,
They made it tough down the stretch. They went on a 25-8 run, I think it was, to close out the game.
Yeah.
To get them the opportunity to win the game. And, Duke, they just didn't have, like the point guard situation.
Proctor, yeah.
They didn't manage the last, 35 seconds well.
No.
Which happens, but they missed a free throw to give them a lead or extend the lead when I think they were up 3. Missed a 1-on-1, and then they were up 2 or 1 or whatever it was. Yeah, I think they were up 1.
Yeah.
And then they fouled right after that, which
Can we talk about that for a second? It is technically the right call. I just think that was the absolute wrong time to call it.
But technically, it wasn't the right call because Jawan Robbins had his hands wrapped around him, like on the box out.
Yeah.
And so that's
almost a hook. Yeah.
I don't disagree. I'm assuming he's saying it's just the body. I don't know. Because to me, on a 50-50 ball, I've always said, well, if we're both going for the ball, how is it my foul? How am I fouling? If we're both going for it, how is it my foul? That doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I thought it was a terrible call at a terrible time. That's
And the referee that called it, I think I shared this, but the referee that called it was a guy who was swallowing his whistle down the stretch.
The whole night. The whole night.
There was a foul right in front of him that he didn't blow the whistle on.
Right.
And the guy, the trail guy, ended up blowing the whistle. But the play is literally right in front of him.
Exactly.
And he didn't blow the whistle on that one play. And they were allowing them to play. That was the other thing. Like down the stretch, they were allowing them to play. And it was just frustrating to see how they were taking, the aggression away from, both teams allowing them to play. And I was like, at one point, they were going back and forth,
Yeah.
and there was no calls.
There was no
which,
calls. Exactly.
Which I'm like, okay, cool. But then all of a sudden, it's like started making all these different calls,
Right.
and I'm like, come on, man.
Which, by the way, Charlie, that carried over into the championship game the next night. First half, very aggressive. Only four fouls called. Cool. If that's how we're playing it, nobody's got a problem with it because now we understand what we're dealing with. Second half, 25 fouls were called. So it's like, wait a minute, what are we doing? Like, why are we calling two different games? That doesn't make sense. So to me, the refereeing was wildly inconsistent in both games, and it really affected both games. It decided both games in its own way. So crazy. That in the Houston game, it was so interesting because they came out and got the game they wanted. That's the game they have to win that game. And then Florida out Houston them in the end.
Well, like you said, the whistle changed too.
Right, the whistle changed dramatically. And it was like, that to me, that kind of took away from it. Go ahead, Charlie.
I was just saying, like the whistle definitely changed against Houston when they were up 12 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And of course, Florida, I'm not. They did what they needed to do as far as making plays and those types of things.
Made the shots, yeah.
And defensively, they got the stops that they needed, but their aggression was taken when they started calling these pushing fouls, like on the post.
Yes.
And just all these different things to take away the aggression of Houston, and that's when it started. Like when they started making those calls, and it literally the first, like you said, the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, it was like 5 fouls on Florida.
Yeah.
And the lead started to grow, whatever it was. And then the next 3 to 4 minutes, it was like a complete reversal.
And Charlie, you know this as a coach. Once I don't know how aggressive I can be as a player, I mentally start to go, okay, I can't do that. I got to pull back because I'm going to foul out if I don't. So that changes the whole dynamic. And we've all been there. You start out and you're able to press. You're able to put trap. You're able to do the things that you want to do. Then once they say foul, you're like, okay, I can't do that. I gotta go straight up. I gotta surrender some stuff. It just changes the whole mentality, which you saw it in Houston. They could not mentally adjust to the change. Florida did. They made the adjustment, but Houston was like, well, what do we do? I don't know what to do. But let me also ask this question, because I was trying to think about this earlier. Do you guys ever remember a Final Four weekend where two games came down to inbounds plays that they couldn't, or end of the game plays like that where they couldn't make them? I don't remember that.
No, not off the top of my head.
I was trying to think. I was like, I don't remember it ever being that close, and then to not get a shot off at the end. I was just like, wow, that's wild.
Yeah, that was bad. I mean, everybody was just kind of standing there. Nobody was going towards the basket to begin with.
Who's
and
that?
then
Talking about
Houston
yeah.
on that final
against
play.
Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That final play, it was just.
Well,
it felt like nobody wanted to shoot.
Shaden Sharp. Well, I think they had a play, and they were looking for a three. Of course, that's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a couple of plays within a play
Mm-hmm.
to be able to get that. And I think if they had a choice, they would like Cryer to come off and shoot, but he didn't have a shot, which was good for him not to just force a shot, especially when they had more time on the clock. But the thing that Steph Curry does really well as a shooter is what?
Runs off screens.
Well,
yeah,
that's one thing.
Quick release.
But what he uses the shot fake
Yeah.
really, really well. because he's a shooter and most people are running at him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll give a quick shot fake and then a sidestep, and then he's shooting a wide open three.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that Shaden Sharp did was he panicked.
Yeah.
Instead of
Yeah,
him
yeah.
using that shot fake, because Clayton Jr. was was definitely watching the ball. Like he was
Yeah.
in the lane when Shaden Sharp caught the ball.
Yeah.
And so he was at the mercy of a great shot fake. And then Shaden Sharp would have been shooting a wide open shot, but he
Yeah.
Or he got
panicked
fouled. Yeah.
and he just turned and looked to shoot the ball. And by that time, Clayton Jr. had gathered and jumped. And so that was, just not, he's a veteran guy.
Right.
And I understand it. And so now he's shooting a contested shot that he didn't get off because Clayton was there with a good contest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if he would have just made a quick shot fake and an escape dribble, he would have been shooting a wide open shot.
In his
Uncontested.
mind, I think he was thinking catch and release because of the time, and he did not. He
Fine.
completely misread the time.
Yeah. He did.
5
Yeah.
seconds
It
on the
happened.
clock.
Yeah,
The
right.
clock is right there in your
right.
face too. It's right. I mean, it's right on top of the score
Well,
of backboard.
But Charlie, you know this, and Kendrick, you know this as well.
Yeah.
The clock is as fast as you think it is. Even though it's right there, it's as fast as you think it is. So if you catch it and 5 seconds is 3 seconds in your mind, then it's 3 seconds. And so he's thinking catch, turn, shoot. And when he couldn't do that, he was like, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
And to watch him just drop the ball, I was like, oh, man. And then here's the other part. No one on his team, I think they thought he was going to catch and shoot as well, because when he dropped the ball, no one even realized he dropped it. They were like, what's going on? Why is the ball not at the rim?
Right.
And then they all turn around and look like, oh,
They was just
shot it.
It was just as surprised as everyone else
They were
was.
surprised as everybody else. It was, listen.
But you got to credit. Let's say you got to credit Florida. I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
because they made 2 defensive plays at the end
Yes.
to win the game. Where Richard, I think it's Richard, had a strip on Shaden Sharp while he was driving, and then Clay Jr. On the contest to force that turnover as well. So kudos to the Gators, even though that's hard to say.
Right.
Well.
That's understandable.
I mean, we're going to give them the credit. Well, I know it's hard for you to say. Yeah. We're going to give them the credit for the win. I didn't realize their coach was that young. Like, he's young in every possible way. Like, even his post-game celebration, it's like, yo.
Yeah, he's young.
Bring
Young
it up
dude.
a little bit. Like, but he's young. He's super young. So, there you go.
He's funny.
He's
I was
hilarious.
I was at that Kentucky game, and stuff he would say on the sidelines was hilarious.
Is it really? Wow. Well, so since the end of that game, they've already put out their way too early college basketball top 25. And now ACC, depending on who you ask, is very interested to see what the results were. For some reason, most of the top publications or media companies are saying they really like Louisville. Like, Louisville has gone from not being ranked at all coming into this year to now everybody is in love with Pat Kelsey. And ESPN has them at number 3 right now. I'm sure that will change as recruiting and transfer portal stuff shifts around. Maybe it gets better. I don't know I can't imagine it gets that much worse, but it will get better. Duke is at a number 8 and UNC is at 25. 24/7 has Louisville ranked number 1, which I was like, really? Like, number 1? Like,
There's a lot of ACC teams in there.
and right, they really like the ACC going into next year with Louisville, Clemson, Syracuse, Miami, and then UNC, Florida State, and the California. And then CBS has Duke at number 2 and Louisville at number 12, which, if I'm being honest, that feels a little more realistic.
Realistic. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong.
really depends on
Right.
who Duke has coming back. I know they have some young players that's coming in that's good as well.
Question
But
to you. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Charlie.
say, but then they'll be back really in the same boat as they were this year, where
Mm-hmm.
they have some of the better players being freshmen.
Is Malawat, is he coming back or do we know?
Like I don't know.
Or is he? I mean, he could go pro.
You think
He could. I mean, he get drafted.
he would get drafted? I don't know.
They have him, Knipple, like in the top 10.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. I mean, he. Now, I've said it all season. He low key. He was the key to that team because like Flag, Flag did what he does. Knipple do what he does, but defensively and as a lob threat, Malawak he was a total game changer for them all season long. That's why that's why hell they kept their head above water when Flag was out. Because Malawak played really well during that time.
I'll just say this, in my humble opinion, if I was Molly Walk, I'd come back because there's stuff I need to work on still. Like he's not the low pro threat that he's Clint Capella right now.
That's who he
Uh,
reminds me of is Clint
yeah,
Capella.
he's Clint Capella without the experience, and I don't, and that'll give you. And let me just say this: that will definitely give you an NBA career. You can,
Yeah.
especially in today's NBA, it'll get you there, and you can stay a while. I don't know if that's what you want is just to get there, then I would say come on out. If you're trying to go there and be impactful, you need another year to get your footwork together because his footwork is not great.
You can get that.
Uh,
I mean, that's why they have coaches.
yeah, but that's not true. That's
They
not true at all. You know that because
get-
every coach doesn't coach great. Every coach does not coach great.
well, it depends on the
In the
system he
NBA.
goes to. But I mean, there's plenty.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's also, I mean, there's big man camps. I mean, Olajuwon puts on a camp, and
But you got to take
all that
advantage
stuff.
of it. A
I
lot of these guys won't take advantage of the stuff that's available to them because
Well,
they made it.
well, if they do that, I mean, a year's not going to change that anyway. I mean, if you're a
Well,
top 10
my
pick, you're a top 10 pick. And especially, we've talked about it, you know how the NBA is. If he comes
Yeah.
back, they're going to be like, well, now he's old.
That's true. That is very true. That is very, very true.
So
You
I
don't want this
think-
old guy playing for us.
Right. I mean, that's one of the knocks on
He's
the
20.
Florida kid. He's
He's
22.
20. Yeah, but now he's a dinosaur. So
Right.
I don't know. If I were him, I think I would take the. Well, I don't know. God, that's tough, man. You're right. It's a tough decision. But I would think John Cryer is going to help. John Shire is going to help him develop his low post game better than an NBA coach. Because NBA coaches, they don't necessarily have the time to help you with that. Your individual coaches on an NBA roster do, but like your head coach, listen, go out there and run the system. Like, what are you talking about?
The other challenge, I mean, is will he develop? Will with the players that he has around him? Will he develop into
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
what you're talking about? Because I mean, he's going to be a ball screen guy, roll guy,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and he does have the low post as far as rolling and posting up. He can do that.
Yeah.
But like I said, they got guys coming in that are very, it's going to be very similar in a lot of ways to the team that they had this year. And then they got the other big guy. There's a freshman. They had two freshmen come in, so it'd be
Yeah, I forget
interesting to
his
see
name.
if
I forget that kid's name. What's his name?
Madoni.
Yeah, something like that. I'll
Yeah.
find it for you, Charlie.
But they have those two guys who were freshmen last year, in the same class, and will they decide to stay with Cameron Bouger coming in as well? And they're all very, they're all Cameron's a little different, but they're kind of in the same boat. Like there are 4 or 5s, if you want to call it that.
Right.
So it'll just be interesting to see how they navigate that because they're talking about throwing the bag out to all these different players. I'm sitting here because um, there's three guys on the Nike Hoop Summit team currently that's going to
Mm-hmm.
Duke,
Okay.
and they're all very good basketball players. Like they're good basketball players, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they're- and then there's another kid here who's on the Nike Hoop Summit team that's thinking about going there, and I'm like, man, that is four guys. It's four of
Mhm.
y'all. Like
Yep.
like that to me, that makes no logical basketball sense. To
Because they're not
go
all
to
gonna
one
play.
team because you're
Yeah.
not all going to play. I
Mhm.
think
Right.
about Isaiah Evans. I think it's Isaiah Evans, um, who had a decent year for Duke, but he didn't play down the stretch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if he played in the tournament. Did
I
he?
don't remember. I don't remember him
I
playing.
don't remember him being out there.
That's a great.
It-
That's a great point, Charlie. You make because I don't.
exactly. And so, I mean, I'm like,
Well, to your point, Charlie. Final Four game. This last game that he just played. He played 2 minutes.
yes. I mean,
Two.
I understand he probably may play a bigger role, but now you got freshmen who are coming in,
Yeah.
but there has to be some of these guys end up moving somewhere else because somebody will see them as a commodity and they'll give them, $3 million, as
Mhm.
we've seen before,
Yeah.
somewhere else,
Yeah.
and then they're like, "Oh, I'm out of here."
Yep.
I would think that there's probably going to be some news about transfers coming out of Duke soon. I just think I agree with you, Charlie. The logjam is insignificant. And the kid's name I apologize in advance because I'm going to botch it up. But Patrick Gongba, I think is his name.
Gumby,
Gamba.
Gongby is Gongby. Okay, so
Gumby.
yeah, he played 5 minutes. So so I at some point you're going to have to decide, do you want to? Now these kids may be thinking, I'm gonna stay 3 years or 4 years, but if it's freshman to freshman and there's new freshmen coming in, you're right, Charlie. At some point, there's a logjam at that position, and you're not playing. Like if you didn't
Wow.
play this year, the 5-star that's coming in is probably not going to help you play next year.
It's amazing looking at the box score from that game. They got 4 points from their bench.
Right.
I mean, they got
Which
nothing from the
which
bench.
says to me they don't have, they don't know if they can trust that bench right now. And so going forward, I don't know if that gets better. It might. These guys may take a jump in the offseason. You never know. But like you said, there's 4 guys that are coming in that feel very worthy of playing. And now I've heard very mixed opinions about the Boozer guys, kids. Like I've heard people say they're great, and I've heard people say they're okay. So I don't know. I have not seen much
Um,
tape or
I,
anything.
I,
So
I
I'll
saw them in
let
the
you know.
McDonald's games about it.
I'll say this: they're winners. So um, they
just
know
won a state
how
championship, right?
they won like
Yeah.
four of them in a
Oh,
row.
they won 4 of them. Jesus.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's crazy. Um, they won as a freshman all the way through,
Yeah, it's
uh,
like Zakiya. Zakiya
and
did it.
then they won a national championship this year.
That's the one
Hmm.
I saw and just went, okay, yeah.
And so they're just winners. Like you can say what kind of players they are, and they're one or the other, but they're winners. Like I'll take them on my team.
Hmm.
Like their dad. He, you can say a lot of things, but the man in college won.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I get it. I get it. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Like you said, Duke's gonna be very, very interesting. And then and it's interesting. Then you have Louisville, who's going the opposite way. They're just drawing the best transfers. Uh, it makes you wonder if Jeff and Pat are having meetings like, dude, Stop wasting your time with this. And go get what you need. Go to the Costco transfer portal and go get what you need and win, because they're using the same blueprint.
I mean, we'll continue to see how it all works out, but
Yeah.
I think you have to build within still. Like you can't keep going getting uh, overloading your roster, especially if you're newer coach. You can overload 1 year, but then you got to start supplementing,
Yeah.
some of the guys that you have, because if you have guys coming in and out, I mean that's everybody in a sense, but
Right.
you still need some continuity. Because having to reteach the system,
Mm-hmm.
get
Yeah.
everybody on the same page as far as culture.
Yeah.
And you want to try to bring in the right guys, that hit well, that's there for, the reason you want them to be there.
Right.
But
Right.
you have to have a good mix of high school talent, players coming back, and then transfer.
Yeah.
It can't be an imbalance,
Right.
we're
I
too
agree 100%.
inconsistently.
And they'll have a couple guys. I mean, with Ali Khalifa, he was already there. He sat out this year because of a red shirt, and that Kanai Roos will most likely be back. I'm thinking Case and Pryor's probably back, and
I was gonna say, is
Javon
Pryor
Hadley
gonna-
already said he's coming. He hasn't announced it yet. I'm hearing he's leaning towards staying, but and then Javon Hadley coming back. So they do have some guys, that will have been in the system. So it's not going to be just a totally new roster again.
Can I just say how hilarious it is that guys now have to announce that they're returning to school?
Yeah.
They're doing full on videos, and it's. I've
Hadley.
decided I'm not going anywhere. What?
All right, Hadley coming back was huge for him because he meant so much to them last year.
That is
Yeah.
true. That is very true.
Was that number 1 or 5?
Hadley was
right?
one.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
number 1. Yeah.
Yeah, number 1.
All right.
And James Scott is back too. So yeah.
So I would be remiss if I didn't talk to these phenomenal gentlemen about other stuff that's going on. We use other stuff in our other show, Press and Pros, but I'm going to steal it today and talk about some other stuff that's going on in the sports world today that you just can't ignore it. You just can't ignore it. Today, as a matter of fact, today and tonight, I believe, the Giants are meeting with Abdul Carter and having a day with him, lunch and dinner, and I'm sure they'll bring him in and have him talk about plays that he would sack the quarterback and all kinds of wonderful things, and take him out for a nice New York pizza or something. I don't know. But I want to ask you, gentlemen. It appears Cam Ward is going number 1. It feels as though the Titans have locked that down. But number 2 and number 3 seem to be very much in question, although in my humble opinion, the Browns would be crazy not to draft a quarterback. But they've done crazy things in the past, so, whatever. So, if you were you, 2 gentlemen, drafting at 2 and 3, who would you take?
As the Browns, if I'm the Browns, I might go with Abdul. Because they need a quarterback, but I don't think they have the faith in the quarterbacks that are outside of Cam Ward to be franchise quarterbacks. It doesn't feel like that people have that faith they should do it right now. But of course, everybody's lying right now, so who knows? Right. But I think I go with, because you put him with Myles Garrett.
Oh, that could be,
defense is going to be phenomenal. Now, they might have to win games 3-0, but the defense is going to be phenomenal.
Can I tell you something that makes you? I to where he is right now
Is he breaking up?
You're breaking up. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure why he gets his audio.
It's still breaking up. You
Still
might need to
breaking
go
up.
out and come back in. But
They,
Charlie, what would you do? Because
I don't think Shadur want to go to Cleveland. Like,
I know.
personally, I wouldn't want to go because just their history. And for him, I don't think the money is like the biggest
No.
thing. So I think he would be fine with dropping, in a sense. We call it dropping. To someone else that probably their franchise is in a better state than Cleveland's.
Right.
Even though they need a quarterback. But I don't know who. I know Abdul Carter's there as like one of the top guys. Who else is in the mix besides the quarterbacks and
Travis. And then
I mean, Travis probably don't want to go there either because they don't have a quarterback.
I mean, I don't know if anybody
Right,
really wants to go there.
Are we talking about Cleveland or New York? Because
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Okay. All right. So I was going to ask this question, or say this statement. Watching where Abdul is now, comparatively to where Micah Parsons was at this exact same time when Dallas drafted him, I think Abdul is further along. Like, he's really, really good. And I for the AFC North,
Lord,
and what you're gonna have to deal with,
Lord,
I think I would take Abdul.
Lord.
Yes, sir.
Michael Parsons was good coming out of college, man.
He was. No, I'm not saying he was.
I'm
not saying he wasn't good, Charlie. I'm just saying Abdul might be a little bit further along. That's all I'm saying.
They're the same players coming out of college.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
They're both good.
I'm not.
And they played very similar positions. I mean, they had the same numbers. Like they're two peas in a pod.
Okay, peas. You like peas? I got it.
That's what I'm saying. If you can match that up with Myles Garrett, good God, good luck getting a pass.
I think I would do it. I think I would take Abdul solely because of what the AFC North is presenting every year.
And you're gonna be experimenting at quarterback anyway. You may as well just show up the defense.
Yeah.
So who would the Giants take?
So that's the interesting thing.
He wants Shadur.
Obviously I want Shadur because I think he's gonna. I think the narrative around his name right now is ridiculous. Like,
but they just they just brought in like two veterans and then Tommy DeVito, who's been there for like everybody's years.
Well, by the way, if they bring in Shadur, Tommy DeVito is not making the roster.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Right.
And I agree. I definitely understand that. But I understand it. I mean, you can't go wrong.
I think the plan is, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. You bring in Russell Wilson, you bring in Jameis Winston, now, and you draft Shadur. So now you have a quarterback room that can grow Shadur at the right pace. Because there are some things that he probably needs to work on. Number one being probably the time that he holds the ball. I'm more concerned about how long he holds the ball than I am about the padding of the ball. I don't care about that. That's not that big of a deal. But holding the ball, you can't do that. You've got to get the ball out faster. And so getting him used to the timing of the NFL, to me, is far more important than anything else that they're talking about with his game. But I'll also say, having Travis Hunter is like drafting two players.
I think he's going to play more wide receiver than defensive back.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
But having him and Neighbors to throw to is going to make any quarterback look pretty good too.
All I'm saying. So I don't know if I could make a case for both and be okay with both. because there are other quarterbacks coming. Like there's always going to be somebody coming. So, but here's the thing that the Giants cannot do: they can't botch this pick. Like if they reach and go get Jackson Dart or Tyler Shuck, as good as they possibly could be, they're probably going to get fired. They may get fired before the season starts. Like it's so I don't know. I who would I take? I'd probably take Shador if he's available. That just makes the most sense to me for the long term of what you're trying to accomplish.
I don't know. I'm more and more I'm thinking about it, and more I'm like, you already got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and you can go ahead and get Travis, and then you're set up for whenever they move on. You can go out and get a quarter. You buy yourself a year of quarterback. You know what I mean. You don't have to draft a quarterback this year when you've already signed Russ and Jameis, and so you've bought a year. So I'd say go ahead and get Travis, and then draft a quarterback next year.
Are Brian Daboll and Joe Shane,
or just get a quarterback later on in the draft?
Right.
Are Brian Daboll and Joe Shane making their selection for quarterback, or are they making the selection for the franchise? That's the question. Because if they're trying to save their job, you probably get Travis. If I'm being honest, you probably get Travis. If they've been told we'll give you time if you think Shador, because the only reason you take Shador is that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that by the end of the year, this kid's going to be ready to step into the position next year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think that, and you think you can win with Russell now, then you take Shador. And you keep your job. But if you take Travis, now you're saying something different. Now you're saying, well, we think if we put Travis on the other side of Malik, we can probably win right now and compete in the NFC. And by the way, I don't know if that's true in the NFC East. Just by taking Travis is amazing. But I don't know if he puts them over the top. Like that's, I don't know.
No, I mean, there's nobody in this draft that's going to put them over the Eagles now.
That's my point. So why not take the guy that you think can be good long term as opposed to the plug and play guy? I don't know. This is a very.
I mean, it's still long term. Either way.
Yeah, but Travis is going to start day one.
Right.
So
yeah, that's what I meant. Long term is like they're going to be there for a long time.
Right.
I think.
Right. Oh, I got you. Yeah.
I lean towards Travis. I really do. Just because I say you already got two quarterbacks. You already got two quarterbacks. You matching him with neighbors. That's tough.
Hard not to. Listen, the kid's amazing. He made. When he came out at that Shador's pro day and caught the ball with no gloves, I was like, oh, he's come on, man. You just gonna show out like that? and he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Like no disrespect to Shador. Shador was good, but he didn't do anything that I hadn't seen him do before. But you out there playing with no gloves? Come on. That's impressive. Okay. Now I got to get to the fun part. Charlie Ward. I've been waiting for this for the last 24, 36 hours. The firing of Mike Malone and Calvin Booth. Charlie Ward. Go.
Well, it was definitely unexpected in the sense of what which is because it happened like literally a week before the playoffs started. So you're like, it doesn't make sense from that standpoint. But what I've heard is there's a lot of bickering between the two gentlemen that were let go.
Right.
That ownership decided it was starting to trickle down to their team. And it was affecting, that part of it.
And just real quick, Charlie, and if you believe the reports, the bickering was primarily over who Calvin drafted and was starting. They wanted the young man to stop, forget his name, but they wanted him to play more than they were playing Russell Westbrook. If you believe that. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what was stated, that Mike and Calvin had serious conflict over Mike Malone not playing the younger guys over the veteran guys.
Well, I watched the game last night, and Russell Westbrook was playing like late in the game,
Yes.
and make plays and those types of things. So I I understand it, and as I've shared after this news has come out, it's just like any divorce that you have um, when two people can't get along, like and they feel like, man, I'm just they just add it all the time about whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One person can't get their way, and the other person's not willing to sacrifice. Not people are playing a role, whatever it is, and
Yeah.
so it's no different than that to me. Where
That's a great
one
comparison.
guy, one guy, you know, let's work together. Like we can share our opinions, and this is team 101. You share your opinion if you're a part of a team, and if you're in leadership, you go with whatever who has the authority. Meaning, if I'm the coach and I share, hey man, I would love to have XYZ, and I think he'll fit this. You make your pitch for whoever it is, and then if the GM decide to go a different direction, then you have to, you know, make it work,
Mhm.
and then vice
Mm.
versa. If you have an opinion on who should be playing, and I did this and did that, and then the coach decide he want to do it a different way, then you have to go along with that, even though you may not feel that that's the right thing. And then, of course, as we've seen, I think one guy may have thought I'm bigger than the other guy,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and what ended up happening was they both were, going at it, and the ownership was like, This
Yeah.
is this
I'll
is
let you
not.
both go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
both
is it.
replaceable.
Yeah.
And the kid is Jalen Pickett. I have not seen Jalen Pickett do anything that would justify this argument.
No, I mean
Like
he's a solid player, but he's not
solid
one
player.
one that you're gonna go to lose
You're
your
gonna lose
job
your
over.
job over.
Why right, why are we that's my point. Why are you going to the mat? That's why I struggle to believe the reports. Cause I'm saying y'all were fighting over Jalen Pickett. With all due respect to Jalen Pickett, I don't know if that's a fightable player. Like, why am I out here
He
wanting to
had
go to the
18 and
mat over?
4 last night.
That's great. That's great. I'm just saying it doesn't feel like
But
that's the guy I'm going to lose my job over.
but what was he doing before?
See,
What's his
his
season
last
average?
his season average
His season average is
is
4 points.
4.3 points a game.
Why are we arguing over this?
It's no way this man cost two people their jobs.
That's what I'm saying.
I refuse to believe that.
So the rest of the story has not been told. That's what I'm convinced
No.
of. I cannot believe Jalen Pickett cost both these championship executives their job. That doesn't make any sense.
But
So
we do know
yeah,
that there was some bickering, and that's the reason why
Mhm.
both of them got relieved of their jobs. And so we don't know who and why. We just know that it started to trickle down to the players,
Right.
and then they started to lose their edge with all the antics that were going on. I don't know how
Mhm.
loud it got. I'm sure that's going to come out here really really soon, or at some point. How loud it got, who heard,
yeah,
and just the whole deal.
Mhm.
But it's very similar to a divorce. Like you
yeah,
know, the kids
Yep.
get involved. Like they're the ones that hear, the parents going at it, whatever it
Mhm.
may be, and then all of a sudden this happens, and you know, uh, it'll be interesting to see how they play. They played well last night against the Kings, which
yeah.
that's not earth
Right.
shattering, but It'd be interesting to see how they fare in the playoffs because I mean, Joker's gonna be the Joker. I mean, he's a triple double.
Hmm.
That's just what he does. And will he start to step up even more? Because the narrative is now he's more vocal. He had the clipboard last night.
Mm.
Telling people what to do. It's
Oh
just
my
this
God,
whole narrative
that's
now
that's so bad.
around him. And I hope they don't try to say he was the one that caused the coach to get let go
Mm.
and what
So
have
let me
you.
let me let me drop a pin on that. So according they asked him that question last night. What did you know? He said I was called into the office by the or I was called by the president John Kroenke and told that a decision had been made. So he said in the press conference last night it was not a discussion about what my thoughts were.
Hmm.
It was I was being notified that this had been done. So
Which I
if we
kind of
believe,
figured.
which I believe, this felt like that. To be perfectly honest with you, it felt as though John Crunky was sick of these two guys bickering and was like, you know what, all y'all can go.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
and listen, that's whatever you think of the decision. Here's what I do know: John Kroenke owns the Rams, he owns the Nuggets, and he owns a bunch of other sports teams. He is not new to this.
Right.
So and he doesn't seem to fire people all willy nilly. So there's probably a lot more in this than we're going to find out right now. At some point, it's all going to come out. But wow, what a decision to do the week of the ending of the regular season. Like it's wild.
That's wild.
It
Well, I
is
mean,
very wild.
all these things are happening you know, as wow. Like, people getting fired, and I wonder if this is going to become a trend. Um, firing your coach if even if you're winning, and which we've seen Darwin Ham get fired after you know winning a championship or at least taking his team to the finals, whatever it
Right.
was. And you saw what's my man, Adrian get relieved of his job when his team was 30-13
Right.
in the
Right.
middle of the year to bring in a guy who's they've been okay since Doc has taken over. I mean, nothing against Doc, but
Nothing to write home about.
they struggle. Like
Hmm.
Yes.
since
Hmm.
they made that decision, they really struggled,
Yep.
and they're like not really talked about.
And by the way, this season has been so long, we all forgot that Mike Brown lost his job.
Yeah.
In the midst of all of this, like,
Right.
and Mike, go
And
ahead,
it,
go ahead, Casey.
and like the Kings one doesn't make any sense. They fired Mike Brown because him and Fox apparently didn't get along, but then Fox leaves.
And then
So I'm like,
right, right, that's what, yeah. So you're like, this has been a
and then
wild
Tyler Jenkins
NBA season.
at
Yeah,
Memphis. I mean,
yeah.
that was crazy.
So
So
it's just like I said, people make decisions, and of course, decisions we live with. I mean, decisions we make, we have to live with. I mean, you talk about Nico Harrison. I've been feeling bad for him. Um, you know, but he made a decision. Like he felt like that was the best decision, and then all of a sudden, you get Kyrie going down, and you
Hmm.
get all these people going down that you were hoping could, rewrite the ship. And you got a good player in
yeah,
Kate and AD
yeah,
there, but I mean, Luka's like the franchise, which
yeah.
Yep.
he is a franchise
Is
player.
it?
Yeah. Right. Right.
By
It's
the
not
way,
even
that.
like it's questionable.
But
By the
I'm
way, doesn't it feel very cringeworthy when you hear, like last night, just all the Nico fire Nico chants and there's literally a team that's trying to win on the court and they're screaming fire Nico, and they're like, and I know the Mavericks players have to be like, can y'all just move on? Like it's over. They've already decided.
So I asked this question: Would Luca help this team, the Dallas Mavericks team, without all the players that they have that's injured? You know, let's just take AD off of the Mavericks
Hmm.
and put Luca on this team without the two bigs,
Without
um,
Kyrie.
without Kyrie. Where would they be?
Probably exactly where they are right now.
Exactly.
Yep.
With all due respect to Luca, but
And
yeah,
he might be ailing
Right.
right.
because he's having to carry such a bigger load. And
Hmm.
now, I mean, he's been hurt throughout the season this year.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
yes,
He was hurt when they made the
Yeah, that's
trade.
right. Exactly.
right, right.
So
I don't. Yeah,
I
I agree with you,
understand it.
Charlie.
I understand, like, I can understand both sides. Of course, long term it remains to be seen. How it all shakes out, but it'll be interesting.
It will. It definitely will. I think this offseason is going to be wild. And by the way, start the clock on Coach Budenholzer in Phoenix because he's probably the next casualty.
Yeah.
They
And it's not. And by
no.
the way,
He's the one that I'm
none of the-
surprised. He's the one I'm surprised is not the one not
And
fired.
let me say this: I don't know if any of that is his fault. If I'm
No.
being
It's
honest.
not.
I don't
It's
think
not.
any of that of what has happened is his
His
fault.
roster
He's-
construction's not
he
his
is
fault.
on the clock. He is
I'll-
on the clock for
I'll-
sure.
I can tell you it's not his fault,
No.
but I can tell you they need to throw somebody off the ship. They need to throw somebody off the ship because they're the ones that's rocking the boat.
Can I'll say it because you can't, Charlie. Can owners be thrown off the ship? Is that possible? Because if that's possible, I think Dallas Cowboys would have done that a long time ago. I mean, I don't think owners should be thrown out. I don't know, but yeah, I listen. That's a wild. That might be the wildest situation in the NBA right now, quietly, because it's just a mess. It's not going to get any better.
I mean, they're literally talking about where should KD play next season right now on ESPN. So
by the end of the season, they may be talking about a lot more than that. Like they may be saying, I'm telling you, in my gut, I feel like Devin Booker's going to say, "I've had enough." Because how much can you take? If you're like really, how much can you really take as a player? And your years are passing you by. Like
Yep.
Kevin Garnett taught us that years ago when he said, "Listen, I've given this organization everything I can give them, and they've given me nothing in return. At some point, I have to decide for myself." I feel like Devin Booker is days away from saying, "Yeah, I'm done."
I mean, especially after the way they got beat the other night by Golden State. It was what, 39?
It was over in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I listen. I feel like we're coming to as the old preacher would say, we're hastening to a close. So there you go. All right. Well, that listen, we always have fun talking everything because we can talk everything on this show. You guys got anything else? Am I missing anything else topically that's going on that we need to address?
Nah, I think we're
we've
good.
addressed quite a bit here. All right. Charlie Ward, who you shouting out today?
I don't know. Who am I shouting out?
Charlie,
Well, I guess I can shout out the champions.
Yeah. You don't want to shout out Tanaya? I mean, come on. I know
No.
you're not happy with it, but
No, I'm not.
she still gave you 3 good years, though, Charlie.
I mean, that's cool. I just, I just have a hard time, with I understand people change their minds and what have you. I just have a hard time with that whole, just because I think that's not my thought process.
Right.
And so that doesn't mean it's right. But if you're going to say you're going to do one thing and then not even 24 hours. I mean, 24 hours or whatever it was, you change your mind, which everyone has their prerogative, but that is just the way that's the world we're living in. But shout out to UConn, Coach Ariema and his staff. 12 championships is
Unbelievable.
impressive. And so happy for him. And Paige Beckers, her getting the opportunity to win a national championship. She's had some great years at UConn, and so just happy for her. I can't shout out the Gators, unfortunately. That is a
We
no-go.
understand. We understand. He said that is a no-go. That is a fantastic line. That is a no-go. Oh my goodness. Charlie, we're not even mad at you for that. Matter of fact,
No.
shout out to you, but not shouting out the Gators.
Right.
There you go. We ain't even mad at that. You're not mad at that at all.
I'm just old school. Like I have a tough time with people transferring from
So no jersey swaps for you.
one rivalry to the next rivalry.
So no jersey swap for you, right? You're not swapping jerseys
No.
with Florida. I love it. All right, fair enough. Kendrick, who you shouting out, brother?
I'm send a shout out to Alex Ovechkin,
Oh yeah.
all-time leading goal getter in the NHL. Broke the Great Ones record the other night, and Lloyd and I talked about it yesterday. I mean, he could stay long enough, a couple of years. He's averaging about 40 to 50 goals a season. He can get 1,000. He can get up to 1,000 if his body can hold up. And so that would be awesome. So shout out to him.
He looks like he's my age.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
When he's only like 39 or something.
Yeah.
Right.
He's great up and ready to go. He's I want to give oh, you done? I'm sorry, Kendrick. I didn't know if you
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. I want to give a shout out actually to the Dallas Mavericks. Very classy thing yesterday. The video was good that they did for Luka. Listen, first of all, as a Laker fan, don't nobody ever better not say nothing bad about Nico. I love Nico. Nico is awesome. God bless him. He's a fine human being. He's a wonderful executive and an honorable man. So leave that man alone as far as I'm concerned. All the stuff y'all doing, I don't understand. But also, I just thought Dallas handled that very well last night. It's a difficult situation organizationally, and also the team. The team played very well. The Dallas Mavericks played very well last night. They just did it right, and they didn't try to hide from the moment. They just handled it, and I love that Luka allowed himself to be in the moment and to feel what he felt. It was kind of refreshing to see him in that humility of crying during the video and all of that. That was kind of cool because if I'm being completely honest, this is taking the fandom out of it. Luka can be ridiculously arrogant at times, but it was nice and refreshing to see him be like, wow, I do get it. I do understand my privilege and my opportunities that I've been given. And I think he genuinely was hurt by what happened. So it was nice to see him kind of letting that out and purging, especially before the playoffs. That's the fan coming back out. So yeah, I was impressed by the way Dallas handled that. So yeah, that's my shout out. And then this is Masters week, so I'll be watching the Masters. The Masters and the U.S. Open are the two tournaments that, regardless of who's in it or whatever's happened, I'm going to watch those because I like the course that the Masters is and how difficult it is, and then I like the difficulty of the U.S. Open because it seems like the humanness of golf, of these guys playing golf, comes back because they all struggle at the U.S. Open, which is nice to watch. It is because it's a hard course always. So I like that. So those are my shout outs. Those are my shout outs. So
It's just to piggyback off the Luca deal. It's very tough when you go back when you've been somewhere and you go back to where you've kind of made your name and you know a lot of people and you're in the opposite locker room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for him to do what he did, of course, it shows his greatness. But it's a tough deal, like emotionally, and then you just don't feel like you're trying to stick it to him. And when you
Mm-hmm.
do that, you get kind of out of character in a lot of
Yep.
ways.
right.
But for him to get control of his emotions, and then go out and play the way he played, it was commendable.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
You know.
That was a hard game. That's let's be clear. Charlie, you went. Did you go back to New York after you went to the Spurs? Because the Spurs.
Yes, I went back um, with the Spurs, and it was different. I mean, I wasn't playing with the Spurs. Um, I might have played like a little bit that game. Pop gave me a few minutes, but um, it was it was just different.
Yeah.
Going back
But even
to
talk about even walking into the building. Like, did you play there? You played in New York.
yes, that's what
So
I
talk
said.
about just walking into the building. Like, what was that experience like as a Spur?
I mean, you got a chance to see everybody. The
Okay.
people in the back and that you normally, would see because I had just gotten drafted. I mean, just gotten traded. I got traded in season.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
wow. Okay.
So it wasn't like, I had been gone for a long time. Um,
That felt more
when
normal than going to the Spurs locker room.
correct. So so that was, it was good. I got good, they did a video and all those types of things as well.
Okay.
So it was,
How'd the video make you feel?
I mean, I was there long enough to be able to, be able to warrant, um, a little bit. But I was grateful, because I
I was there
didn't
long enough.
expect it. Um, but it just showed that, you made an impact, like while you were there.
I was there long enough. That was not the answer. That was not the answer I was expecting, but it was the answer that was needed. I was there long enough. Give me my video, please. Okay, that's fantastic, Charlie. All right, well, we got to get out of here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We enjoyed doing it. It's always a good time. Always a good time. Next week, I'm working on something. I hope I can pull it together. I have a draft expert hopefully coming. I hope he can make this show. I'm trying to get him booked on 2 of our sports shows if I can, even though, yeah, but we'll see. But if nothing, nonetheless, we will probably be talking draft next week because the draft will be 1 week away at that point. So be prepared for us to talk all things draft next week. So that is the great Kendrick Haskins, and he is doing the Bad News Bears shirt, and it looks fantastic. I need to get one of those so we can. And then there's the great Charlie Ward, who is in an undisclosed location. It's none of your business where he is. Just know that he is safe and he is happy. There you go. That's all you need to know. So there you go. I'm Lloyd Spence. This is Believe in the ACC. We'll see you later.